Hey everybody, Jake here with TrendSpider to do a weekend update on the SPY ETF and show you how we can really use our conditional criteria alerts to capture the possible breakdown that may be occurring here. The first thing to kind of consider is this particular setup has happened in the past, and that was really right before the big late September, early October breakdown. And what we had here was really the price riding right along the EMA 50 before really breaking down here. And what we had was higher highs on price, lower highs on the lower indicators. So we can see here it's barely noticeable, but we had the higher highs here, and then the percent range had lower highs showing negative divergence here on the RSI with this area here falling down to this area here, and then as well as the vortex indicator starting to converge, the VI positive converging towards the VI negative to the downside, and then we saw this cross here. So if we want to kind of see that possible setup again, we can create an alert for those kind of conditions. So what we have here is the EMA 50 acting as resistance on the move down, and now we have the EMA 50 really acting as support now before a possible breakdown. Now what we can do is create an alert, a multi-factor alert that is, with let's say a possible breakdown. And we'll say the description, a possible breakdown of the EMA 50. We'll do 7 days expiring or once triggered. And then we can start creating our criteria. So the first one I want to add is really the percent range breaking down through this negative 75 area. Generally, that's where I personally have found where momentum can start to break down further, especially if the RSI still has room to move down once the percent range is in this area. So we'll go to add parameter. The condition would be the daily indicator, with that being the Williams percent R, is less than the constant value of negative 75. So then that's really the first rule that I want to make. I'll also add another one, with that being the daily RSI is less than, let's say, this previous low, which is around 40. So we'll do a constant value of 40. And then for the vortex indicator, we'll do the daily vortex positive is less than the indicator on the daily, and that's the vortex negative. So when this crosses down through this and this starts to move up, that's when this condition essentially creates the alert when we'll be alerted when that happens. So let's say that we also want to have the price action. So we'll do the daily candle close is less than the daily EMA 50. Now, we do already have an alert here, but that's for if the price action decides to really kind of dip here and then bounce hard. That's where the sensitivity comes in on the indicator alert here. But then we can also have when the price action actually closes below the EMA 50, that's when we will be now alerted here. Now let's say that we also want to see some bearish candles as well. We can create a separate condition or group, and any of the following candles also occur with these conditions, we will be alerted at the same time. So let's say if we have a daily candlestick pattern with a bearish engulfing, or maybe let's say a daily, let's say bearish harami. So if any of these two occur with these following criteria as well, we will be essentially alerted and possibly ready to make a trade, whether that is buying an option to the downside, buying the dip, whatever it may be. Everyone's got their own strategy, but you can essentially kind of not code your own strategy because you're just creating these very simple conditions, but you really create your own set of rules to follow, and then the system follows those and lets you know when those become true in the market. So what we can do here is if we wanted to save this for another stock, we can go here, save as a template, and say, let's say possible break, let's say EMA 50, oops, not sure what that was, excuse me, EMA 50 breakdown. We'll just do possible EMA break. Proceed, And now when we go to load from your template, we'll say we can easily see that here, possible EMA 50 break. Create the alert. Now we can follow that alert right on our alert panel here, and you can follow to see when these conditions become true and see which conditions still have to become true before the full alert is triggered. So something that's very powerful on the system and something that we can realistically use in this possible breakdown scenario, especially as we have a nice uptick in volume here and the vortex indicator is really starting to look interesting as it continues to converge, possibly crossing in the coming days if we do have more downside. So if you have any questions at all about any of these features we went over, please feel free to reach out. We will also be showcasing the platform and some other charts on Benzinga on Monday morning with the pre-market show. So if you're interested, you can go to premarket.benzinga.com to tune in and watch us go over not only this chart, but CHK and ENT, two other interesting charts into next week. Thank you so much for listening, and everyone have a great weekend, and we will do another video next week.